Welcome back my YouTube channel. Today, we are going deep into the world of one of the most impressive container ships ever built, the CMA CGM Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. This enormous vessel is a true giant of the ocean, designed to carry thousands of containers across some of the world's busiest international trade routes. When this ship enters a port, its enormous size immediately attracts attention. At 400 meters long and 59 meters wide, the CMA CGM Antoine de Saint-Exupéry is longer than 4 football fields placed end-to-end, and its massive structure represents the incredible scale of modern maritime engineering. CMA CGM officially lists its capacity at 20,600 TEUs, meaning it can transport an enormous number of standard 20-foot containers on a single voyage. The ship was delivered to CMA CGM in January 2018 and entered service in February 2018 on the Asia to Europe route. It was built as one of the company's flagship vessels and became the largest container ship flying the French flag at the time. Its name honors Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, the famous French writer, poet, aviator, and author of The Little Prince. The name gives the vessel a connection with French history and aviation, while the ship itself represents a completely different kind of engineering achievement, one based on enormous scale, power, efficiency, and global transportation. Looking at the exterior, the first thing that stands out is the incredible length of the hull. At 400 meters, this ship is almost impossible to appreciate fully from the ground because its bow and stern can appear to stretch far beyond the limits of a normal harbor view. The hull has been designed to carry an enormous amount of weight while maintaining stability in open ocean conditions. Its wide beam provides the platform needed for thousands of containers, while the long hull allows the vessel to move efficiently through the water. The bow is shaped to reduce resistance as the ship moves forward. Although the vessel looks extremely heavy and enormous, every section of the hull has been carefully engineered around hydrodynamic efficiency. At sea, reducing resistance is extremely important because even a small improvement can save significant amounts of fuel during long voyages. A ship of this size can travel thousands of nautical miles, so efficient design has a major impact on operating costs and emissions. Moving toward the deck, the scale becomes even more impressive. Rows of containers can extend across the ship in enormous stacks. These containers are not placed randomly. Every position is carefully planned according to weight, destination, cargo type, and stability requirements. Heavy containers may be positioned lower in the vessel, while others are placed in specific locations to maintain the ship's balance. Special locking systems secure the containers together and to the ship's deck, helping them remain stable when the vessel encounters strong winds, large waves, and difficult weather conditions. The container stacks also create the unmistakable appearance of a modern mega container ship. From a distance, the vessel can look like a floating industrial city. Thousands of individual containers form huge rectangular walls across the deck, while the navigation bridge and accommodation block rise above them toward the rear portion of the ship. The CMA CGM branding gives the vessel an unmistakable identity, while the enormous size makes it easy to recognize among smaller ships. One of the most important characteristics of the CMA CGM Antoine de Saint-Exupéry is its cargo capacity. The ship was officially announced with a capacity of 20,600 TEUs. CMA CGM explained that this quantity of containers would represent approximately 123 kilometers of containers if placed end-to-end. That gives an idea of just how much cargo can move across the ocean on one vessel. Inside those containers, the ship can carry an enormous variety of international cargo. Consumer products, industrial equipment, clothing, electronics, machinery, food products, raw materials, and countless other goods can travel aboard container ships like this one. Some containers are refrigerated units, commonly called reefers, which are designed to transport temperature-sensitive cargo. CMA CGM's schedule information lists the Antoine de Saint-Exupéry with 1,600 reefer plugs, allowing refrigerated containers to receive electrical power during the voyage. But the cargo is only one part of the story. Behind the containers is a complex working environment where the crew operates the ship around the clock. The interior of the CMA CGM Antoine de Saint-Exupéry is designed primarily for the people responsible for operating and maintaining this massive machine. This is not a passenger cruise ship, so its interior luxury is very different from what you would find on a cruise liner. Instead of swimming pools, entertainment theaters, and passenger restaurants, the ship provides practical and comfortable accommodation for its professional crew. The accommodation areas include cabins, dining facilities, working spaces, recreational areas, and essential services required for long ocean voyages. Crew members can spend weeks at sea, so comfortable living conditions are extremely important. Sleeping quarters provide a private place to rest after long shifts, while common areas allow crew members to relax away from their work. The ship also requires spaces for meals, communication, administration, training, and daily operations. The bridge is one of the most important interior areas. From here, navigation officers control the vessel and monitor its movement. Modern container ships depend heavily on advanced navigation equipment, including radar, electronic navigation displays, communication systems, positioning technology, and other instruments. The bridge provides officers with the information needed to understand surrounding traffic, weather conditions, sea conditions, and the ship's position. The engine room is completely different from the accommodation areas. Instead of quiet cabins and living spaces, it is an enormous industrial environment filled with machinery, pipes, pumps, electrical equipment, monitoring systems, and the main propulsion engine. This is where the true mechanical power of the ship is generated. The CMA CGM Antoine de Saint-Exupéry is powered by a huge low-speed marine diesel engine. Sources report the engine's maximum output at around 73,560 kilowatts, while contemporary reporting described the vessel's propulsion power as roughly 100,000 horsepower. That amount of power is necessary because moving a ship of this scale through the ocean requires tremendous force. Unlike a sports car engine that rapidly changes speed, a large marine engine is designed to operate efficiently for long periods. The objective is not acceleration. The objective is continuous, reliable propulsion across thousands of miles. The engine turns a huge propeller through a direct propulsion system, pushing the vessel forward through the water. The propeller itself is an enormous piece of engineering. Contemporary reports described a propeller around 10 meters in diameter and weighing approximately 100 tons. Imagine standing beside a propeller that is taller than many buildings. Every rotation moves a tremendous amount of water, producing the thrust required to propel this gigantic vessel. The sailing experience of a ship this large is completely different from driving a car or operating a small boat. There is no quick acceleration and no sharp turning. Everything happens gradually because the vessel has enormous mass and momentum. When the ship changes direction, the bridge team must plan the maneuver well in advance. When the ship needs to slow down, the process also requires time and distance. At its operating speed, the CMA CGM Antoine de Saint-Exupéry can travel at around 22 knots according to CMA CGM's published service information. That is roughly 40 kilometers per hour. For a vessel that weighs an enormous amount and stretches 400 meters from bow to stern, maintaining that speed across the open ocean is an impressive engineering achievement. The ship's handling becomes especially interesting when entering or leaving a port. A vessel this large cannot simply turn around like a small boat. Harbor maneuvers require careful coordination between the bridge team, tugboats where necessary, port authorities, pilots, and terminal personnel. The ship's enormous length means that every maneuver has to be carefully calculated. Once the ship reaches open water, however, its environment changes completely. Instead of navigating around cranes, terminals, smaller boats, and harbor structures, the vessel can settle into a long-distance cruising pattern. The bridge team monitors the route, surrounding traffic, weather, and navigation information while the engineering team continuously monitors the propulsion machinery. Stability is another major consideration. A container ship carrying thousands of containers must maintain a carefully controlled balance. The loading plan is therefore critical. Containers are positioned according to weight and destination, and ballast systems can help maintain the appropriate trim and stability of the vessel. This allows the ship to operate safely while carrying an enormous cargo across different sea conditions. Weather can dramatically change the experience at sea. In calm conditions, the ship can move steadily through the water with relatively gentle motion. In rough seas, however, the vessel can encounter large waves, strong winds, and significant movement. Its massive size provides substantial stability, but the ship still has to respect the power of the ocean. Navigation teams can adjust routes and speeds according to weather conditions to improve safety and efficiency. Another important aspect of the CMA CGM Antoine de Saint-Exupéry is its environmental technology. When the vessel was introduced, CMA CGM emphasized technologies designed to improve fuel efficiency and reduce environmental impact. For a ship that can travel enormous distances while carrying thousands of containers, fuel efficiency is especially important because even small improvements can have a significant effect over an entire year of operations. The ship also represents an important evolution in container shipping. Older generations of container ships were already enormous compared with conventional cargo vessels, but modern mega-container ships push the limits even further. Instead of transporting a relatively small number of containers on individual vessels, these giants can move tens of thousands of TEUs in a single voyage. This creates economies of scale and allows global supply chains to move huge quantities of cargo efficiently. The crew is another essential part of this enormous operation. CMA CGM stated that the Antoine de Saint-Exupéry required a crew of 26 members, with personnel divided between deck and engine departments. Every member has a specific responsibility, from navigation and cargo operations to engineering, maintenance, safety, and daily life on board. Although the ship is heavily automated compared with older vessels, experienced people remain essential for decision-making, maintenance, and emergency response. Safety systems are built into every part of the operation. Fire detection and firefighting equipment, life-saving equipment, emergency communication systems, navigation equipment, and carefully established procedures help protect the crew and cargo. Safety at sea is not optional. A ship carrying thousands of containers and traveling through international waters must be prepared for mechanical problems, severe weather, fire, collision risks, and other emergencies. The scale of the ship also creates a unique visual experience when it arrives at a port. Massive cranes rise above the terminal, but even these huge structures can look surprisingly small beside a 400-meter container ship. Container handling operations begin as soon as the vessel is safely secured. Giant shore cranes remove containers from the ship and place new containers onboard according to a carefully prepared loading plan. This process can continue for many hours. The objective is to minimize the amount of time the ship spends in port because the vessel's economic purpose is to transport cargo between destinations. Every minute saved during loading and unloading can contribute to greater efficiency across the shipping network. The CMA CGM Antoine de Saint-Exupéry is also part of a much larger international system. A ship like this does not operate alone. It connects ports, logistics companies, truck operators, rail networks, warehouses, manufacturers, retailers, and consumers. A container loaded onto this ship may begin a journey at a factory thousands of kilometers away from its final destination. Once the ship reaches its port, that container can continue by truck or rail to another city or country. This is why giant container ships are so important to modern life. Even when people never see these vessels, they depend on the global transportation system they support. Many everyday products have traveled across oceans inside containers before reaching stores, warehouses, businesses, or homes. The CMA CGM Antoine de Saint-Exupéry therefore represents much more than a massive machine. It is a moving link between economies and continents. Its 400-meter hull, enormous cargo capacity, powerful propulsion system, advanced navigation equipment, and carefully organized crew all work together for one purpose: moving huge quantities of cargo safely and efficiently across the world's oceans. There is also something fascinating about the contrast between the ship's enormous exterior and its relatively small human crew. A vessel capable of carrying more than 20,000 TEUs can be operated by a team of only a few dozen professionals. This shows how much modern maritime technology has advanced. Automation, computer systems, sophisticated machinery, and advanced navigation technology allow a small crew to control a vessel that would have seemed almost impossible to operate only a few generations ago. The name itself also adds character to the ship. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry was not only a writer but also an aviator, and his life was closely connected with exploration and transportation. Naming such a huge ocean-going vessel after him creates an interesting connection between aviation and maritime travel. Both involve long-distance journeys, navigation, technology, and the human desire to connect distant places. When we look at the CMA CGM Antoine de Saint-Exupéry from the outside, we see a giant container ship. When we look deeper, we see an entire technological system. The hull provides strength and stability. The engine provides enormous propulsion power. The propeller converts that power into movement. The navigation systems guide the vessel. The crew manages operations. The cargo systems secure thousands of containers. The port infrastructure loads and unloads the cargo. And the global logistics network carries those goods to their final destinations. That combination is what makes this ship so impressive. Its greatness is not based on one feature alone. It is the result of thousands of engineering decisions working together. So, after looking at the exterior design, interior accommodation, massive engine, cargo capacity, navigation systems, and ocean performance, the final verdict is clear. The CMA CGM Antoine de Saint-Exupéry is a remarkable example of modern container shipping. At 400 meters long, 59 meters wide, and designed for around 20,600 TEUs, it represents an enormous achievement in shipbuilding and maritime transportation. Its powerful propulsion system allows it to move this gigantic structure across the ocean, while its advanced systems and professional crew make long-distance cargo transportation possible. It may not have the luxury of a cruise ship or the speed of a high-performance aircraft, but it offers something far more important for global commerce: extraordinary cargo capacity, endurance, efficiency, and reliability. It is a ship designed not for entertainment, but for one of the most important jobs on Earth: connecting countries and transporting the goods that keep the modern world moving. The CMA CGM Antoine de Saint-Exupéry is truly a giant of the deep sea. From its enormous bow to its towering container stacks, from its powerful engine room to its advanced bridge, every part of this vessel demonstrates the incredible scale of modern maritime engineering. It is a floating city of steel, machinery, containers, and technology, moving steadily across the world's oceans and carrying a massive piece of global trade with it. And that is what makes the CMA CGM Antoine de Saint-Exupéry not just a giant container ship, but one of the most impressive working machines ever built for the sea.